For me, a jerkbait is an all-season lure, but definitely during all phases of the spawn, it is something that you have to have on your radar. You know, whether it's pre-spawn, the fish are actually up on beds, it's a tool that you can really make the fish react to. So what I'm gonna do is try to choose the right jerkbait for the depth zone and the water clarity during that particular phase. So, you know, during the pre-spawn, a lot of times the fish are gonna be deeper. You know, if you're on a real clear lake, say like Table Rock or Bull Shoals, you know, I'm gonna use a 300 series deep diver. I'm gonna get off those points. I'm gonna fish that bait a lot slower. You know, that water temperature is colder, and that's a great time to catch some really big fish. You know, if I'm fishing in Texas, and I'm fishing over shallow grass, I'm gonna just change up the bait. I'm gonna go to a 300 series and go there too. And again, it's all about the cadence based on that time of the year, the water temperature, and the mood of the fish. The pre-spawn is the prime time for throwing a jerkbait and catching great big ones. You know, as the fish start moving into the spawn, a jerkbait can still be a great tool to catch them. You know, I mean, they'll react to it whether they're coming off of a bed or they're in that mood where they're actually starting to fan. They're protecting their beds from bluegill, sunfish, things like that. So I think about that in my color selection, and same thing. I'm gonna use the bait that gets in the zone where those fish are at. A lot of times that means it's shallower. So, you know, that could be the little 200 series or even the 100 series jerkbait getting up there in that shallower water. You know, if I'm fishing for spawning fish, say over a scattered grass flat and it's 8 or 10 feet deep, you know, I'm gonna use whatever bait, whatever series that I need to get it down closer to that area where they're at. But it's a great tool through that whole season. The post-spawn is another really overlooked time for fishing a jerkbait. You know, the fish are garden fry, they're kind of, you know, they're tired, the females are tired, they're not real aggressive, and you need a bait that has a ton of action and stays in the strike zone for a long time, AKA a jerkbait. So, you know, then I'm gonna really target things that the bass can kind of suspend or hang around. They love to get around floating docks, for instance, or overhanging trees, suspending around standing timber or bridge pilings, things like that during the post-spawn. They like to hover around cover or just over cover, over grass. So same scenario. I'm gonna use the bait that gets to the depth zone that I really need. And that's why we designed the whole line of KVD jerkbaits for Strike King, starting with the little 100 series. It's a small, very shallow, super finesse jerkbait. You know, it's perfect for those conditions, you know, when you gotta get real shallow or the water's super clear and there's no wind, they're chasing smaller bait, things like that. It's just a real small profile, high finesse, high action jerkbait. You know, beyond that, the next one in the line is the 200 series. And that bait is really designed to have super erratic action. You know, it's 4 inches long, it's got just 2 hooks on it, and when you snap that one, it really jumps. I love it for shallower water, but I love it for when I need just a ton of action and I can really draw those fish. It only really runs about 3 or 4 feet deep, so it's not a real deep diver, but it has tremendous action. Probably, in our line, the most erratic action out of any of them there. The standard, though, is the 300 series. You know, it's a 4.5 inch jerkbait. It runs a little deeper than most other baits in the category. You know, I can get it down to about 6 or 7 feet with 12-pound fluorocarbon. If you want it to go a little shallower, I'll go to heavier line. You know, it's just a great suspending jerkbait, has a perfect horizontal balance to it when it does suspend, and it's my workhorse. That's my day in, go-to bait because it fits so many situations, you know, where you need a bait that's gonna run, you know, 4 to 6 foot deep. I always wanna fish a jerkbait above a bass's line of sight. If I'm fishing 7, 8 foot of water, it's the perfect bait for that scenario. So it is, you know, for me, the bread and butter jerkbait in our line. And last but not least is our 300 series deep. So this is a really special bait. I've got one tied on this rod right here, and it is designed to really go to that next level, deeper than really any other bait in the category. You know, this is a bait that many times I've dropped a plug knocker down when I've gotten it hung, and you know, with 12-pound line, I can get it down 10 to 12 feet and still have that tremendous action. So it's a great cold water bait because, you know, it has a slight tilt down to it. It suspends nose down, so it's always diving. And it just has that action where if you just barely twitch it, it just turns from side to side. But also, like in real warm water, and I use it a lot for smallmouth and in the Great Lakes where I'm fishing over real deep flats, I can really jerk this thing and it still has tremendous action. You know, it's got a weight transfer, so it casts great. It's just an unbelievable jerk bait for that deeper zone. So I'm going to use whatever bait fits the zone for that time of the year.